You were designed to lead, not just to follow. And I'm not talking about having a fancy title, a big office, or hundreds of followers on social media. I'm talking about the kind of leadership that starts within. The kind that shows up in the choices you make when nobody is watching. The kind that speaks even when you say nothing, because your presence carries authority. Real leadership is not about controlling others. It's about controlling your mind, your emotions, your choices, and your energy. We've been conditioned for far too long to believe that leadership is a man's world, that strength is too masculine, that assertiveness is unattractive, and that boldness is dangerous. But let me ask you this: who told you that power doesn't look good on a woman? Who convinced you that confidence was arrogance when it came from you? Why were you told to be humble, when really they just wanted you to be silent? Every single day women are leading, even if they don't call it that. The single mother who wakes up at 5 a.m. to make breakfast, pack lunch, get her kids ready, and still show up to work like nothing's missing. That's leadership. The woman who chooses to leave a toxic relationship even though her heart is breaking. That's leadership. The girl who says no to fitting in so she can grow into who she's meant to be. That's leadership. You don't have to run a company to be a leader. Sometimes leadership is the courage to take responsibility for your life and say, this is not how my story ends. But here's what happens. Society rewards women for being supportive, but punishes them for being strong. You've been applauded for making sacrifices, for staying quiet, for being nice, for saying yes when your soul was screaming no. But leadership doesn't live in obedience to expectations. It lives in alignment with purpose. And you cannot fulfill your purpose by shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. Playing small doesn't serve you, and it doesn't serve the world either. Let me give you a real-world example. Think about the workplace. Have you ever been in a meeting where you had the best idea in the room, but held back from speaking up because you didn't want to sound bossy? And then minutes later, someone else says the same thing, and suddenly it's brilliant. You walked out of that room frustrated, not because you weren't smart, but because you weren't bold. And maybe you've done that more than once. In relationships, at work, even with your family, you keep choosing peace over power, silence over self-expression, invisibility over impact. But what if the next time you had an idea, you owned it? What if the next time you felt something wasn't right, you trusted your gut instead of doubting yourself? What if you stopped asking for permission to be powerful? Because you were not created to sit on the sidelines of your own life. You were not meant to be a backup dancer in someone else's performance. You are the main act. The spotlight belongs to you. And if no one's clapping yet, clap for yourself. Show up for yourself. Lead yourself first. That's where it starts. Leadership is about how you manage your energy. Do you pour your time into things that grow you or things that drain you? Do you spend your days trying to please people who will never see your worth? Or do you walk away so you can preserve your power? The world will always try to hand you a script. Be sweet, be quiet, be agreeable. Don't challenge, don't disrupt. Tear up the script. Rewrite your own. When a woman understands her power, she becomes magnetic, not because she tries to impress, but because she embodies something rarer: self-leadership. She's the woman who walks into a room and doesn't need to speak loudly, because her energy already made the announcement. She's not waiting to be chosen. She's already chosen herself. She's not afraid to stand alone, because she knows she's standing in her truth. This world doesn't need more followers. It needs more women who are done being molded, shaped, and silenced. It needs women who walk with clarity, who speak with purpose, and who move with intention. And leadership is not something you become. It's something you uncover. It was always in you, buried under trauma, buried under years of being told you're too much, too loud, too emotional, too ambitious. But what if I told you, you were never too much, you were just too powerful for people who preferred you powerless? Today, I dare you to lead, not for the applause, but for the alignment. Not to prove anything, but to leave everything. You don't need more time. You don't need more approval. You need one thing to remember: who you are. You are not a soft woman. You are a strong woman who got tired of pretending to be soft. And once you stop pretending, you'll stop waiting. You'll stop hesitating. You'll stop asking for permission. You'll start building. You'll start creating. You'll start leading boldly, loudly, and unapologetically. because that's who you are. And deep down, you already know it. You've been told for far too long that your emotions make you weak. That crying means you're too sensitive. That expressing how you feel makes you dramatic. That listening to your intuition means you're irrational. But let me tell you something that can change your life if you let it sink in. Your emotional depth is not a flaw, it's your greatest superpower. We live in a world that praises logic, toughness, and numbness. You're expected to walk through heartbreak with a smile, to carry burdens quietly, to never let them see you sweat, cry, or feel. But that's not strength, that's survival. Real strength, it's the woman who allows herself to feel and then chooses to rise anyway. Think about this. A woman who's in touch with her emotions knows herself. She knows what fuels her, what drains her, what makes her come alive, and what she needs to walk away from. That kind of awareness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Emotional strength isn't about pretending to be okay. It's about having the courage to not be okay and still showing up. Let's bring this to daily life, because that's where your power is either activated or buried. Imagine you're in a relationship, could be romantic, friendship, or even family, and something feels off. You sense disrespect. You feel drained. You're uncomfortable. But instead of speaking up, you silence your own intuition because you don't want to seem too emotional or too sensitive. And just like that, you betray yourself to protect someone else's comfort. That moment right there, that's where women give away their power again and again. Now imagine the opposite. You recognize the feeling. You pause. You name it. You don't react. You respond. Calmly, clearly you say what you need. You set the boundary. You don't apologize for honoring your own energy. That's emotional intelligence. That's power. That's what softness with strength looks like. There's a myth that emotional women are unstable. But here's what most people don't understand. It takes an incredible amount of control to feel deeply and still move wisely. To sit with pain, anger, confusion, and not let it control you, but instead teach you. You don't ignore the emotion. You don't act on impulse. You study it. You process it. You grow from it. That is mastery. Think about your daily schedule. How many times have you gone through a whole day overwhelmed, anxious, or overstimulated, but never once asked yourself why? You push through. You perform. You put others first. And at the end of the day, you're emotionally empty. Then you beat yourself up for being tired or disconnected. But the truth is, you're not failing. You're just not feeling. You've disconnected from your own emotional needs to keep up with a life that doesn't even reflect your values. This is where you reclaim your power. Start paying attention to your emotions the way you do to your to-do list. If something consistently drains you, a conversation, a commitment, a person, that's a signal, not a weakness, not a flaw, a signal. And the strongest women aren't the ones who endure the most pain silently. They're the ones who recognize when it's time to walk away, to rest, to say no, to start over. Let's be clear, emotional strength is not about being calm all the time. It's not about avoiding anger or sadness. It's about owning those emotions, knowing they're part of your humanity. A woman who knows how to handle her emotions cannot be manipulated. She doesn't explode, but she also doesn't suppress. She doesn't chase chaos, but she doesn't run from truth either. Have you ever met a woman who walks into a room and commands presence? Not because she's loud, but because she's centered. That's emotional power. She doesn't need to prove anything. She's rooted. She's clear. She's deep connected to herself. That woman didn't get there by avoiding emotion. She got there by facing every part of herself. She made friends with her fear. She listened to her sadness. She turned her pain into purpose. That's what strength looks like in real life. You don't need to toughen up to be powerful. You need to tap into your emotions, your intuition, your inner knowing. You already have the strength. You've cried yourself to sleep and still woke up the next day and handled business. You've been disappointed, disrespected, heartbroken, and still showed up for people who needed you. You've been exhausted, but kept going. That's not weakness. That's grace under pressure. And grace is not soft. It's not fragile. Grace is the ability to hold your heart in one hand and your boundaries in the other. To lead with compassion, but never compromise your truth. That's the woman who transforms every room she walks into. Not because she pretends to be emotionless, but because she is emotionally fearless. So let the world call you emotional. That's fine. Let them misunderstand you. What they don't see is that your emotions are not chaos. They're your compass. They guide you. They protect you. They connect you to others on a real level. They make you a better leader, a better communicator, a better creator. Your emotional intelligence is your edge. Stop hiding it. Start honoring it. Because once you do, you'll no longer be the woman who breaks down in silence. You'll be the woman who rises in truth. And that woman, she's unstoppable.